Hello everyone, in today's video we are going to talk about the dependent clause. When we talk about the dependent clauses, we need to know uh, something about the different types of dependent clauses. Okay, let's get started with the first one. So we have the first type of independent clauses, which is known an elliptical clause. So in this case, we are talking about a clause that is missing a word. So for instance, we can commonly find that the missing word, uh, the verb or the verb phrase. Let's check out example. So commonly in um, our daily routine, we are going to listen some sentences that are missing the verbs. For instance, if I say my brother is younger than me, so according to different speaker, the sentence is okay because I understand the message and someone might understand my message. But what about if we want to learn more about grammar? So we need to know that the correct sentence uh, in this case, it will be my brother is younger than me. So we have uh, than I am, sorry, than I am. That would be the correct one. So I shared both of the sentences. It's the most common mistake that we do when we are talking with someone. So my brother is younger. We have our uh, independent sentence, and than I am is our elliptical dependent clause. I already uh, differentiated with colors. Than is underlined our elliptical sentence, and it is in purple, the verb that it was missing in the exercise A. Then we have the noun clause. So the type of depending sentence in this case is more extended. So we have different type of uh, noun clauses. So a noun clause. So in this case, it plays the role of a noun which might describe a person, place, or thing. So we have different type of noun clauses. So we have subject as a direct object, as a indirect object, as an object of a preposition, and a subject complement. Let's take our examples. So let's take the first one. A noun clause as a subject. Whoever rides a motorcycle must wear a helmet. In this case, we have our underlined uh, uh, we have underlined our noun clause, which is acting as a subject. Whoever rides motorcycles. If you read the sentence, must wear a helmet, doesn't make any sense because we need the subject and the underlined uh, clause. It is working as a subject. And then we have one as a direct object. She told me that she was disappointing. So in this case, we have our underlined noun clause. We have our noun clause underlined that she was disappointed. If you read she told the if you read the independent sentence, she told the we need the direct object that she was disappointed. That's would be our direct object, because if not, the sentence doesn't make any sense. And then we have object of a preposition. So in this case, we need a preposition, which is in red, and the sentence is the next one. He has to pay attention to what his instructor says. So for those who are students, so he has to pay attention is our independent sentence. And two, it is acting as a preposition to what his instructor says is um, our noun clause. And in this case, it is acting as a object of a preposition to what his instructor says. And then we have one as a subject complement. So in this case, we have the insult was that he never answered. So if you read the insert, the, the insult was have just the subject and we have the verb, but we don't have any complement. So the sentence doesn't make any sense if you read just the insult was. We need that he never answered to have a complete sense of the sentence. Then we have a relative clause. A relative clause, in this case, it gives you more information about the noun. We have two different types of relative clause. In this case, we have a restrictive relative clause and non-restrictive relative clause. Let's take the first one. The first one is our restrictive relative clause. So listen, students who don't pass the exam will fail the course. In this case, we can define that in the restricted relative clause, the relative clause is essential in the sentence. So if you read students who don't pass the exam will fail the course, so we have underlined our dependent clause who don't pass the exam, which means this group only. Students will fail the course. So even though the sentence has a sense, we need the relative clause as something essential to comprehend the whole message. And then we have one example as a non-restrictive relative clause. The guy who is a good peer won a scholarship. So if you look at the first clue of this sentence, we have our dependent clause separated by commas. Commas means that this relative clause is not essential, but it's also giving extra information regarding the noun, the guy. The guy won a scholarship. I understand the message that the guy won a scholarship, but also I want to give you extra information about the guy who is a good peer. That's why we have uh, our my gosh, I guess that here there is a little mistake because the underlying sentence or uh, the relative clause in this case is who is here, which is separated by comma, and won a scholarship is part of the independent sentence. The guy won a scholarship would be our independent sentence. Let's check the next one. We have adverb clauses. In this case, as we know, the adverb clauses, in this case, we need an adverb because the adverb clause plays the role of an adverb. So we can use one of type of adverb in order to make an adverb clause. So let's take our examples. I will take a nap, take a nap after I finish my homework. If you read, I will take a nap, take a nap. This one, it would be our independent sentence. Okay? We have our dependent sentence, another clause, after I finish my homework. If you read, so we have our adverb in yellow also. But if you read after I finish my homework, the message is and completed. We can understand that uh, what's what uh, what is going to happen after you finish your homework. Okay, but if you read, I will take a nap, I will take a nap, you have a full message. That's why we have in this case an adverb in order to emphasize the sentence, but also you can use the adverb adverb clause at the beginning or at the end of the or at the end of you can use it before the independent sentence or after the independent sentence. In this case, we have our clause after the independent sentence. But remember, if you are going to use the independent sentence after the dependent, the if you are going to use the independent sentence after the dependent clause, you need to use a comma. But in this case, a comma is not a must. Then we have ours. So the last one, we have a type of uh, a different type of clause, which is subordinate clause. So as we know, in this case, we need a subordinator or yeah, a subordinator is the most common term to identify that we need to use one of them. A subordinator, a subordinate clause, it starts with a subordinator and it can be placed before and after the clause, the main clause. So let's take our example. So I lose weight whether I do exercise. So I lose weight is our independent sentence, and whether I do exercise is our uh, dependent adverb clause. We have our subordinator, which is whether. It is acting as a conditional, and I do exercise. It is completing the message of the uh, dependent adverb clause. And then we have uh, the next example. If I were a pilot, I would travel a lot. So in this case, uh, the only difference is the position. In the first example, we use our subordinator in the middle of or after the independent sentence. And in the second example, we have um, our subordinator at the beginning or at the beginning of the message it could be, or before uh, the independent clause. So it's been all my participation, and thank you for listening. Thanks.